to ask Louis Vuitton to look at, because I think that's probably a bit much. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I am bringing to you an up-to-date review of the Recto Verso. I have a previous video on my channel where I compared the Recto Verso and the Victorine wallet, and I am just about to transfer out of the Recto Verso and into this to give this a break, and I thought it's about time I did an update for you guys so as you could see what it's like. I have been using this probably for close to a year, and I have been using it hard. And I will just give you some insight into that when I show you the wear that's on this little piece. But I thought it was about time I gave you an up-to-date on it, especially given the rather extensive Louis Vuitton price increases. Now, this is one of the pieces that actually didn't increase in price that much on the Louis Vuitton recent increases, but it was already £400. So when I bought this, it was £400, which is the upper level and was, I thought, expensive for a card holder type wallet. It was more expensive than this, which is the Victorine wallet. But when I first got it, I thought, I really don't like this. It's not everything it's cracked up to be. I just didn't vibe with it. Then I got a few messages from you guys saying you really need to try it out. And then I was complete and utter convert. In that video, I come down to thinking this was the better, in my opinion, of these two. This is the one I probably preferred. I've used it solid since. I have not come out of this since I went into it, apart from whenever I'm using a very small bag and all I take is a flat card holder. But as my day-to-day, this is what I have been using, and I'm going to show you how I use it because it is packed, and I probably have overused it slightly and overpacked it, which I think you're going to see an impact on the wear on this, and I think that's important for anybody to see that might be considering getting this in case you would be using it on the same way that I do. It is now following the very recent increase, £415. So compared to the level of the increase we've just seen, like, where's that mini pochette at £515? That is still blowing my brain. I just can't. I cannot get my head around the plain Damier Ebene or monogram mini pochette is a £515. That's going to continue to blow my brain. So £415 and £15 increase in this probably, compared to some of them, is not too bad. Since I have used this, I have loved it, and I have to be upfront with that from the outset. One of you guys, and I will link this down below, this is a very cheap and cheerful pink little wristlet that I got on Amazon, and it was one of you guys that gave me the tip to use this whenever I did the comparison of this and this. I went on and ordered one right away. Someone had asked me previously and linked the one that I actually got. I think this was £5 or £6. Very, very inexpensive. But as you can see, the little wristlet strap, for being so inexpensive, has held up perfectly, and I use this every single day. If we take a look, there probably is going to be, actually, the hardware, for being cheap and cheerful, fine. There isn't really any tarnishing to talk on. There isn't really much scratching, and this gets used a lot. I think the reason why I used the Recto Verso so much was because of adding this on. So I would, because of the type of life we're living at the minute, I was taking my Neverfull to work with everything in it. Historically, pre-lockdown, I would have also taken a bag, so I would have had a smaller crossbody bag, and I would have used the smaller crossbody bag to run out at lunchtime, or to go for lunch, or to go and meet somebody, or a meeting that I maybe didn't need to bring everything. Because that has been drastically reduced, there haven't really been meetings, they're still very much on Zoom, there haven't been as many meetups and lunches and catch-ups, although hopefully we are coming back to that. I was just grabbing this and going. So I was grabbing this by the little wristlet and running like this, and I absolutely was loving my life. I thought this was so usable, so easy to use, just so functional, and it was this little addition, I think, that made it so good for me. And when I'm looking at this, because this is taking a battering, which I'm going to show you, so I am going to go into this for a while, but there isn't the possibility to add the wristlet to this, and I do think, and I'll let you know, but I do think when I swap into this, I'm going to miss that function, because this for me has been so handy. Stopping, grabbing some groceries, running out to grab lunch, I've went like that, and it has been so easy. But because of my love of it and because of the reliance that I came to have on this, I overused it and overstuffed it. Because I have a business, I have business finances and personal finances, I have a whole other separate pouch in my bag that is meant to be to put my business receipts in. I got so lazy and so reliant on this, I was stuffing everything into this, and then at a later date, whenever this was about to literally explode, going through the receipts and separating them out as to what had to go to business at that stage. But you can see from me stuffing the receipts in here, and I've literally lifted this and I'm just showing you it as it was so you can have a realistic look at how I used this. This is what I had. Oh, this is not going well for me. I don't think this puts me in a very organised light. And I can actually be very organised, but not really with this. All of these stuffed in that little gap. Now, you can see where I did stuff them, although I take full responsibility for this. I don't say this is a flaw of the Recto Verso. You can see that that gap has widened because it would have been consistently stuffed full. I can already see though by taking them out, it is flattening back down, and it really hasn't damaged the shape of it too much. I don't think this is full as well, so I'll get to showing you this part. But I don't actually think it has had much of a negative impact by me stuffing in there so much. And I have found that to be very, very useful. I then also had the little pocket in the front stuffed. This is stuffed with loyalty cards and scan cards. There's a BP card. There's my driving license, House of Fraser card, Hermes card, Yankee Candle card. Lots of little loyalty cards were stuffed in there. And as you can see, it held all of those. So there's quite a few that were stuffed in there. And again, whenever I take them out and put the little button back in there, I don't actually think it's done overly much damage to this with the amount that I have been stuffing it and using it. And I think that's pretty good. My back of it, I always had my cards in. There's 4 card slots in the back, which I will show you now as I take my bank cards out. Don't want to show them on the internet. 4 card holders. This is probably where you can see a little bit of stretching because I was using these 4 in them all the time. Can't say there wasn't occasion that I also stuffed as extra cards in, and I have stretched this slightly, and I think this is where you can see the pulling here, and you can see how this has stretched out, and that top one has definitely stretched out a bit. But as I say, I've used it a lot. I have had cards maybe 3 and 4 thick in one slot, and I don't think it's too bad. But I think if you were going to buy this and you're going to use it the way I've been using it, which is an everything wallet, I have fitted into this what I used to put in a long full size, for example, zippy purse or full-sized wallet, has been squeezed into this on a daily basis. So it's that level of stuffing that we're talking about. But I think that's important if someone's going to spend £415 on this. Let's get into the real world. £415 for this is a lot of money. So I think you want to see how it's going to hold up with proper everyday use if you're going to consider spending that money. There are so many of these that we talk about the use or talk about how they're going to hold up, and in reality they're used very little because they're in high rotation or because there's other bags they're getting mixed up with. The only other bag I would have that I would use the way I use this is the Neverfull, and we know what happened to the first one of those. But I think realistically, let's have a real look at how it can go, and you can see this has really pulled out because it's been used. You can also see, and this is what prompted me to want to give you guys an update. Let's see if I can get this on the camera. If you can see here and here, you can see the glazing, the top of the glazing at the trim has worn and has changed just here and here. I'm sorry if you're hearing the wind, it's literally a storm outside. But it looks, whenever you examine it up close, it looks as if this little section of the glazing and this little section of the glazing have come off. And they're actually gone, and you're down to the raw canvas maybe poking through and wearing through where the glazing was. And I think that is probably from the use that it got. But just something that you would want to be aware of if you're going to spend this type of money. Now, Super Jacob has a video on his channel. If you don't watch Super Jacob, I'm going to link his channel down below. His lives are very entertaining, but above and beyond that, he's very, very knowledgeable. And he puts out certain videos on certain topics which I find are really insightful. And one of the videos he has on his channel is talking about luxury goods and the quality of luxury goods and the methods and the materials used for luxury goods. And are we expecting them to be indestructible whenever the reality is they are still fabric or still silk or still canvas? And even though they have a luxury price tag attached to them, they're going to wear. And that video probably links in with this, because I have to say, I've used it, and I've used it for near enough a year, and you've seen how I've stuffed it full. But I do think if someone's considering spending this amount of money, you should be aware that it can wear like this, and it can wear to the point that you can actually see the I'm going to say damage, but the damage and the wear. This will be pristine because I have never really used this. I have just tucked this into the little zip compartment and then got on with it. Now, in here, again, well used, we have some cash. We're not carrying too much cash at the minute. I also have a round coin purse in my bag, which I used to use for cash an awful lot more, but since the lockdown, cash really hasn't been used as much, but there's a little bit in there. There are more receipts, there are more cards. There is my Brian Thomas card, there's my vaccination card, there's more bank cards, there is a merchant card, there's a little bit of cash, which I didn't know was in there, that's a score. There is the original little canvas tag, which I've never taken out, and there's more receipts. So all of those were also in the zip compartment of this wallet, and this is what I really wanted to show you whenever I looked at this when I was considering swapping over. The inside, I think, is still in pretty good condition. I think it's still held up quite well. You can see a little tiny bit of maybe marking in here, but as I say, it's had cards and it's had cash thrown in with no babying, let's say. But what I did see was, let's see if I can get this on the camera. If you look along the top line here of the glazing, you will see, can you, yeah, look, the glazing is coming off. And it's coming off really right along this whole top section. So we have there, there, and there are smaller little bits coming off down along there, you can see there as well, down along the edge that maybe just aren't as big and won't show such a dramatic look for the camera. That's quite working quite well. And that, I don't know, is that because of how it's been used? I don't know. It hasn't been, when I say it's been heavily used, yes, I've put my cards in it, I've put my receipts in it, I've put my money in it, and I've put it in my bag, and I've taken it out with its wristlet, but it's not as if I've thrown it about, and it's not as if I've been very careless with it. And I don't know if that justifies this, all of this glazing completely lifting off here. If you look underneath, which is going to be very hard to show, but you can, sorry for the extreme close-up, but when you lift this up, you can see the little bit here that's being held on, and it's being held on basically by the canvas, and it looks as if underneath it is almost the raw edge of the canvas. Now, you can see down here where this one is coming up, you can actually see the canvas on it. I don't know, is that a quality control issue? The rest of the little bits of wear, I think, could be accounted for by use and by me stuffing cards in and stuffing money in and using it on a daily basis. The extent the glazing is lifting off that, whenever you saw yourself, the zip compartment wasn't overly full. To be honest, even if the zip compartment was overly full, I'm not sure if that would justify this glazing coming up. I don't know. I might have to maybe speak to Louis Vuitton about it. I'm going to be honest, when I first was going to, I hadn't examined it and I didn't realise just how bad it really is. And it is coming right across here. Now, you could probably lift this glazing and just pull it off, and I don't know if that would cause any damage. I don't know if having the raw canvas would be fine and would be usable. I don't know if it would maybe create problems down the line, but I think it's something that I'm probably going to have to ask Louis Vuitton to look at, because I think that's probably a bit much. I know that we're talking about, and I just said myself about Jacob's video about how luxury goods are going to wear. They're still just fabrics. That though, I'm not so sure if that is actually maybe a flaw. I know Louis Vuitton had real problems with the glazing previously on the Pochette Matisse. I had it on my Vivian bag, but I just will ask them to look at that. Taking that aside though, I think this little piece has been great. I have really enjoyed using it. This, I think, has been a real game changer. The rest of it, for the use that it has got, I think has held up well. I think that this has gone back into shape pretty well. These stretching out a bit, I honestly think has to be expected because it was being used in cards coming in. This is the only bit really that I want to maybe just raise and see if that's meant to be happening. Let's see what they say and I can keep you posted on that. But for use, love it, absolutely love it. Found it very usable after I got over my initial objections, and I'm now going to go from this and swap into this one. Now, I definitely already think the wristlet is going to be something I'm going to miss on this. I'll keep you posted on that if anybody is interested, but that I thought was important to do, to give you an up-to-date review of the Recto Verso and how it is worn whenever it's been used on a daily basis. Sometimes I think certain luxury goods can't really hold up to daily use. The canvas, I find, is normally really good. I got so much wear out of my first Neverfull, I put that through the mill. Let's just see what they do say about this little bit of glazing. It might be something and nothing, but let's find out what they say. Overall though, there is also wear on the button. Going to give you a full review and forget that part. If you look at the button, I don't know how much you'll see on this, but you can see around the edges of the button there is wear and tear, in that the brass has worn off the edge of the button and it's now a silver type colour. And again, I would say that's from use and how much I've been using that button. I've been using this a lot, but let's keep it in perspective that it's under a year. So just if you're going to be spending £415 on something like this, the button is wearing with a year. Is it a year? Maybe more than a year of use. You just want to be aware of that if you're going to go and invest your money. That's an up-to-date review and overview on how I think this has worn. Still really thoroughly enjoyed using it, but you might just want to be realistic. You want to get a realistic review of this if you're going to go and spend your money on it. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you for being here. I hope this has been useful. Please take care and I will see you again in the next one.